Alright. Hello again, adventurers, and welcome to another exciting daily vlog. This is daily vlog number 270. And today, I am a little bit scatterbrained and in my water. So, today has been, the last few days have not been particularly fun. Panic attacks, nightmares, all that fun stuff. I have been actually sleeping a little bit better. So I'm feeling better today. Enough to be able to run my game in like an hour. But so was it yesterday or the day before? I don't know. Recently, there was a state of play for Sony. They announced a bunch of new stuff. A lot of it I was really into. Pal World, despite the lawsuit going on, Pal World launched on PS5, which I find hilarious. And one of the things that they announced, which I was not expecting, it actually, the trailer got leaked a few hours before the state of play, which pissed me off because I wish I would have been surprised during the state of play as opposed to being surprised a few hours earlier. But they're remastering the Soul Reaver game, specifically Soul Reaver 1 and 2. For anyone that's unfamiliar with what Soul Reaver is, about a bajillion years ago, back when the PS1 was still modern, there was a game that came out called Legacy of Kain, Blood Omen. And what it was it told the story of this world called Nosgoth, which is kept in balance by these things called the Pillars of Balance. And the thing that kind of sets off the entire storyline is the Pillar of Balance. In these pillars, one of them I think is the Pillar of Balance or something like that. And each one has like an avatar that controls that aspect of reality. Kind of like in the Mana series, how each Mana Stone and Mana Spirit is tied to a certain aspect of how the world works, or in the old Final Fantasy games, how the elemental crystals, if you like destroy the water crystal, water goes stagnant and stuff like that. So, same basic principle. The Pillar of Balance, the specific, they're the pillars of Nosgoth that control the universe, and then one of the pillars is the Pillar of Balance, and the avatar for that gets killed. Fast forward to Kain. Kain is this noble. He he gets robbed and murdered, and he's so pissed off at the people that murdered him that he is given the opportunity to come back as a vampire. And so he's resurrected as a vampire, first to kind of get revenge on the people that killed him, and then he wanders to find out about the pillars, finds out that they're corrupted, and he's basically told he needs to myrtleize all of the current avatars of each one of the pillars to kind of purge them of the corruption and restart everything. And that's kind of the genesis of this series. Spoiler alert for the first game. At the end of the game, finds out that he is technically the new Avatar of Balance, and so in order to reset everything, he has to sacrifice himself, and being the first vampire, he goes, no, fuck you, and watches as Nosgoth continues to fall to corruption. Well, the sequel to that was called Legacy of Kain, Soul Reaver. And what that is we fast forward a few hundred years after Kain allows the world to start getting corrupted. This group of knights called the Seraphim kind of join together, and they are vampire hunters. And they decide to go and try and kill Kane off. And Kane's been making vampires too because he wanted, friends. And so the Seraphim go off and start fighting Kane. Spoiler alert for the Soul Reaver series. Eventually, he's able to beat the Seraphim, and he actually starts making lieutenants, and basically gives each one a little area to watch over. One of these lieutenants is a vampire named Raziel. And one of the things that vampires can do in Nosgoth is they can go into a cocoon and then they can kind of evolve. And they gain new abilities and things like that. However, with Kane being the first one, he always wants to have the biggest and best things. So he's evolved a few times. He's got some cool stuff like telekinesis and other stuff. But, and none of his lieutenants are more powerful than him. Well, Raziel evolves. He evolves wings. This pisses off Kane. And so Kane, in order to punish him for his transgression, rips the bones out of his wings and throws him into this giant whirlpool. And vampires at this point are incapable of touching water. Touching water is like acid to them. But because he's a vampire, he can't technically die from the water. He's just going to be in eternal agony for the rest of existence. So when he's down there, he meets this creature called the Elder God, who decides to bring him back as a wraith. And that's where the Soul Reaver series starts off, is basically Raziel coming back to do the bidding of this Elder God, but also get revenge on Kane for everything that he did. It's a really, really fascinating series. I played it when I was a kid on the original PS1 and the PS2 sequel. I loved them. The world itself is really, really interesting because in addition to all the vampire lore that they kind of could create for it, there's also these kind of pseudo-angels and pseudo-demons that are also kind of having a secret war kind of peppered throughout the series, and you find out more about it. And there's time travel and paradoxes and things like that. It's a really, really cool series. It's another one of those series that I would really love to have a tabletop RPG set in that world, because it's just interesting and cool and fun. So yeah, I'm really excited about that. I don't think it launches until late this year or early next year. But as long as I have the money, I'm definitely going to pick that up because it's just super, super cool. Yeah. That's really all I've been doing. I have been exhausted and just overwhelmed the past few days. So, yeah, I'm just chilling as much as I can and trying to keep my head on just straight. So, yeah, check out the whole Legacy of Kain, because in addition to, again, the original Legacy of Kain, which is going to be coming out on PS Plus next month. So if you have a PS Plus, I can't remember which level you have to play the classic games, but if you have it, you can actually play the original. You can also buy it on like GOG and just buy it. It's a top-down, kind of Diablo-esque game. It feels very similar to the original Diablo. It's not quite the kind of looter dungeon crawl that Diablo was, but it feels kind of similar gameplay-wise. So, yeah, check that out. Check out the after Soul Reaver 1 and 2, there was a sequel called Blood Omen 2, which is technically a prequel to the Soul Reaver games, where Kain wakes up in the middle of a giant war and doesn't have his powers, and that one is very much closer to something like Darksiders or things like that. 3D action platformer. And then the last game thus far in the series was Legacy of Kain Defiance, which, if I remember correctly, kind of ended on a cliffhanger. It's been a long time since I've played it, but I want to say it kind of ended on a cliffhanger. But the cool thing about Legacy of Kain Defiance is you got to play as both Kain and Razio, because they have to team up for reasons. So that was really cool, because Kain and Razio play very, very differently. So yeah, the series itself is super cool. I enjoy it. I would definitely run a TTRPG in that setting if I had the time. But anyway, it's going to be all for me today. I will see you guys next time. All right? Bye-bye.